So today I will be installing new gears in a Futaba S3003 servo. Now this servo was came in a Stampede, a Traxxas Stampede that I bought used in the earlier part of the 2000s, probably around 2001, 2000, very early. And this was right after they switched from, or they renamed the S148 to the S3003. I don't know if there's a difference. There might be a small upgrade to the motor, but it's a very basic servo. As you can see, I've already taken the screws out. There's 4 long screws, and they go into the bottom like that. And they're very simple to take out, so I've omitted that portion from the video. But this is a very simple servo. It's a brushed motor with nylon plastic gears. Fortunately, you can get replacement gear sets for these servos. I got this off Tower Hobbies. I think it was something like $5 shipped. And a new one of these servos is like 10 bucks, but you know, doesn't really hurt to replace it and fix it. So, as you can see, it's very simple. It's just 4 gears, and they aren't even held in. You just slide them off, and there you go. This is a bit of an experiment. This is the first time that I've actually had one of these servos strip out on me. So you and I will learn together. Anyways, so these old gears, I don't know why they're pink. Being pink doesn't, I don't know why they're pink. There must be a reason for it, but I don't know what it is. So there you go. Those are the pink gears. And there we are. Replacement. So let me do that from the beginning. The gears are in this order. Take this top gear off, and take this gear off, then this gear, and then you take this shaft out, and the other gear just falls out. See that? Then reverse order. The pin back in place. Put this big gear on, and you'll notice on this big gear it has a little, let's see if I can get an angle that you can see it, has this little bit right here. And that needs to be facing away from the rest of the gears. So put it on like so. So it basically, when you turn it, it should be able to go lock to lock, and that gear should never go beyond, or that little stud should never go beyond that point. Hopefully you'll be able to see that okay. Then you put this gear on like so. So you have something like that. Then you put the final gear in, so you have something like that. And then you have a rebuilt servo, effectively. Alright, now that we have the servo assembled with the gears in place, we're going to add just a little bit of grease. Now I've been using this Team Associated black grease for forever. It works very well. You don't need a lot. Just a little dab. Ooh, hopefully I have enough left. Just a little dab around each little connection there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is hook it up to a vehicle, to the Stampede, and make sure that it gets lubed up properly. Okay, so now I have it hooked up to my truck. Transmitter's on. I'm going to turn the truck on and just spin it around and make sure that the grease is getting pretty good contact in there. Now, oop. One thing to note is that you don't have to put the grease all the way around because, well, the servo doesn't turn 360. It just turns a limited amount. So it's interesting that the entire gear, that this especially this big gear, has teeth all the way around, considering that technically you will never ever see it will never use half the gears. I reckon it's probably just I generally don't know why they do that. So now that we know that it works, I'm going to put it back together and get it back in the truck. So we put the servo top on, like so. Then flip it over to the bottom side, take this with the 4 screws, the output, the little tab covering the wire for a little bit of extra dust protection. Have that go in there. Tighten it down. Now remember, this is metal screwing into plastic, so you really don't want to over tighten it. The basic name of the game is snug, so you want it snug, but not like death grip tight, because all you'll do is strip out the plastic and then you'll have to buy a new servo. Okay, once again. Okay, so now I'm going to install it in my truck and give it a test. Okay, now that the servo is installed, it's always very important to make sure that your servo is aligned properly. So the first thing to do, make sure the steering wheel is in this middle position, and go to your trim settings and put the steering in the middle so it's centered. You know it's the middle. Then on this particular model, I have a external, or just an on servo saver. So we're gonna just plop that on. And then let's attach the servo saver. Now, one thing I will never ever understand in all my years of using these kind of servo savers, they've never been centered. I've never been able to get them to center initially. I always have to then go back and say, okay, yeah, I know that it's off. Let me focus. So you can very clearly see that even though I have the steering trim centered, the steering wheel is centered, this is about as close to centered as I can get, which is not. So now I'm just going to move it over until it looks about right, and I'll take it out onto the track to get it more finely tuned. Okay, so now that we have the steering centered, more or less, we want to set the endpoints. Now the endpoint basically is will restrict how far to the right or left the servo will go. Now you want this to be set so that at the fullest extent of the servo, fullest to the left or the right, the servo isn't straining against a physical restriction. It isn't being blocked from turning further because of the just not being able to. You want it to have a little bit of extra room because you can imagine this thing comes off jumps, it's gonna induce strain, you know. And so what you don't want is it landing and the servo already under a state of stress. So when you land, even with the servo saver in place, as would happen with me, you can still strip it out just by not having a little bit of extra wiggle room for it to behave. So you want it to set up so that it's not rubbing. just nice and smooth, and everything's aligned. So there you go. That is the gear replacement on my Traxxas Stampede. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back with more soon. Thank you.